Hello students, welcome to the channel Social Science with Dipankar. In this video, we are going to understand what is decentralization and how decentralization has been practiced in our country. Children, in this chapter we discussed so far federal form of government, which is having minimum 2 levels of government, right? And we so far have discussed the power sharing arrangements between 2 levels of government. But you see, a country like India, we are such a huge country. We are the 7th largest country in the world. We are much bigger than many of the independent countries. And in terms of population, if we talk about, the state of UP is bigger than Russia. And Maharashtra is almost as big as Germany, right? In such a situation, there was an urgent need, to have a third tier of government. Okay, because only 2 levels of government would not be suffice to deal with the problems at the local level, right? Because many of the states in our country they are hugely diverse, and being very diverse, plus you see the size, they are as big as the independent countries of Europe. And I've just now discussed that how in terms of population also, the state of UP we just now mentioned is bigger than the largest country, Russia. Okay, so being such a huge country, India needed a third tier of government, right? And the other reason was that the states are hugely diverse. Okay, and this is the rationale behind decentralization. This is the reason why the federal power sharing required a third tier of government. Right? So this was the reason why a third tier of government was resulted in the form of a local government. So apart from the central and state government, we have a third type of government, a third tier of government, that was local government. Okay. Now let me tell you what we understand by decentralization. Decentralization से हमें क्या समझ आता है? तो बच्चों, जैसे मैं आपको बता रहा था कि हमारी कंट्री जो है इतनी ज़्यादा डाइवर्स है, और बहुत सारे स्टेट जो है इतने बड़े हैं जितने कि यूरोपियन इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्रीज से भी बड़े हैं, राइट? और पॉपुलेशन के मामले में भी हमारे कुछ राज्य जैसे यूपी रशिया से भी बड़ा है, और आप ये देखेंगे किस तरह से महाराष्ट्र भी इतना बड़ा है जितना कि जर्मनी ऑलमोस्ट। ओके, तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में थर्ड टियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट की जरूरत पड़ी, ठीक है? और यही रैशनल है थर्ड टियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट लाने की। ओके, क्योंकि 2 लेवल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट या 2 tiers ऑफ गवर्नमेंट्स वर नॉट इनफ टू सॉर्ट आउट द प्रॉब्लम्स और टू सेटल मेनी इश्यूज, मेनी प्रॉब्लम्स which might arise at the local level, right? So now let us discuss the meaning of the term decentralization. What we understand by decentralization? Decentralization से क्या समझ में आता है? Simple way में हम उसको बताते हैं, when the power from the central government and the state government is taken, when the power from the central and state government is taken away and they are given to the local government, that is called decentralization. इसको आसान शब्दों में हम ऐसा समझ सकते हैं, पावर जब एक ही हाथ में केंद्रित होता है तो उसको कहते हैं सेंट्रलाइजेशन, एंड व्हेन देयर आर सेवरल अदर स्मॉलर सेंटर्स ऑफ पावर, राइट? जब हम पावर को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, एलोकेट करते हैं, उसको कहते हैं डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन. ओके, द बेसिक आइडिया बिहाइंड डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन इज दैट many of the problems and issues can be best resolved, can be best settled at the local level only. And we know that people have better understanding of the problems in their locality, right? They also have better ideas. People also have better ideas where to spend the money, right? And they also understand how to deal with the things in a more efficient manner at a local level, right? Plus decentralization also allows people to participate in the decision making process in the local government. They will participate, it will inculcate the habit of democratic participation. तो इस तरीके से participatory democracy को भी ये बढ़ावा देता है, right? जब हम local गवर्नमेंट बनाते हैं तो उसमें जो लोकल लोग होते हैं या जो स्थानीय लोग होते हैं वो गवर्नमेंट के साथ, यानी कि वो जो लोकल बॉडी होती है उसमें रहकर, उस डिसीजन मेकिंग बॉडी में रहकर अपने सुझाव देते हैं, अपने सलाह देते हैं और इस तरीके से वो डिसीजन मेकिंग के पार्ट बनते हैं, राइट। तो आप ये देखेंगे किस तरह से ये जो प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टिसिपेशन है, यानी कि पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी को बढ़ावा देता है, राइट। और जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट गोल है, एक इंपॉर्टेंट प्रिंसिपल जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट फुलफिल करती है, वो ये है कि द मेन आइडियल ऑफ लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट, ठीक है, लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट की मेन आइडियल्स को भी ये फुलफिल करती है। यानी कि आप ये कहेंगे जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट है वो एक तरह की, वो उसे कहेंगे स्थानीय सरकार और लोगों की अपनी सरकार, सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट, ओके। लोग इसको खुद ही मैनेज करेंगे, लोग खुद ही सुझाव देंगे, लोग खुद ही रिसोर्सेस रेज करेंगे, लोग खुद प्रॉब्लम्स को लोकल लेवल पे सॉर्ट आउट करेंगे। तो पार्टिसिपेटरी डेमोक्रेसी का बढ़ावा देता है और लोकल सेल्फ गवर्नमेंट के आइडियल को भी ये फुलफिल करता है, ठीक है। इसमें हम बात करेंगे कि द नीड फॉर द थर्ड टियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट वाज recognized in the constitution also, and since then many efforts have been made to decentralize power to the level of villages and towns। मतलब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में भी ये माना गया है, इस बात को रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया है कि थर्ड टियर ऑफ गवर्नमेंट होना चाहिए और इसी वजह से कई ऐसे एफर्ट्स किए गए, ऐसे तरीके अपनाए गए, ऐसे स्टेप्स लिए गए जिसमें पावर को डिसेंट्रलाइज किया जाता है टू द लेवल ऑफ विलेजेस एंड टू द लेवल ऑफ टाउन्स। मतलब किस तरह से गवर्नमेंट को, यानी कि पावर को कैसे डिसेंट्रलाइज किया जाए शहरों तक, कस्बों तक और गांवों तक, ओके। तो आप ये समझ सकते हैं कि इसी उद्देश्य के साथ इन ऑल द स्टेट्स ऑफ द कंट्री द पंचायत्स इन द रूरल एरियाज and the municipalities in the town areas, in the urban areas, they've been set up in all the states. But you know, before 1992 these local governments were not given constitutional status. They did not have their own power. These local governments were directly under the control of the state government. They did not, as I said, they did not have their own power, they did not have resources also, and power sharing was not done in an effective manner. Or we would say that decentralization, though we had the local government there, but initially the power sharing was not done in an effective manner, or we can say that the decentralization was not done in an effective manner. But after 1992, right, 1992 में एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट किया गया और जिसमें लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स को और ज्यादा पावर्स दी गई, ठीक है। लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स को और ज्यादा पावरफुल बनाने का काम, और ज्यादा लोकल गवर्नमेंट को किस तरह से और पावर दिया जाए, किस तरह से उनको और ज्यादा एम्पावर किया जाए, इसका काम किया गया है। तो वो कुछ स्टेप्स आफ्टर 1992 अगर हम बात करें कि कौन कौन से चेंजेस किए गए हैं। 1992 से पहले क्या था सिचुएशन, अगर हम बिफोर 1992 की बात करें, व्हाट वाज द स्टेटस ऑफ लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स बिफोर 1992, ठीक है। एक तो ये जो लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स थे वर डायरेक्टली अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स, ओके। तो ये बिफोर 1992 पहले हम डिस्कस कर लेते हैं। 1992 से पहले लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स वर डायरेक्टली अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स, ओके। यानी कि उनके पास आप ये कह सकते हैं दे द इलेक्शंस टू दीज बॉडीज आल्सो, द इलेक्शंस टू दीज बॉडीज, द लोकल बॉडीज और लोकल गवर्नमेंट bodies were not held regularly, So they were not regular elections. So this was the situation with reference to the local self-government. Okay, what was the status of the local self-government? The elections to these local government bodies were not held regularly, and the local governments did not have power or resources of their own, or resources of their own. ठीक है, तो ये थर्ड एक आप इसमें देख सकते हैं. तो इस तरह से जो है आप कह सकते हैं कि decentralization was not done in an effective manner. So children, as I was discussing that in the year 1992 constitutional amendments were made, and they were done to make the local governments more powerful and more effective. Okay, so before 1992 what was the condition of the local government, that we had discussed a short while ago. Now in this part we are going to discuss what were the changes, I mean the constitutional status that was provided in the amendment that was done in the year 1992. What did it result in, right? So decentralization then started taking place in a more effective manner, we can say. And what are the steps, what are the major steps that have been taken in the year 1992, and what happened thereafter? So we will see how local government became more powerful and more effective. Okay, तो after 1992 इसमें आप ये देखेंगे कि now it has become constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to the local bodies. It is now constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to the local bodies. So earlier this was the situation. Earlier what was the situation? That there was not regular elections. Now after the amendment in the year 1992, now this is the major step that now it has become constitutionally mandatory. मतलब अब ये जरूरी हो गया कि regular elections local bodies में हर 5 साल में जो elections होता है after a specific period of time वो regular होना है. ऐसा नहीं है कि किसी after 5 years we are not sometimes having it, we are not sometimes conducting the elections, we are sometimes conducting the elections, we are sometimes not conducting the elections. So it would be more regular, right? And seats will be reserved, okay, in these representative bodies and the institutional heads for whom? For the SCs, STs, okay, and the OBCs. So seats will be reserved, okay, seats will be reserved in these representative bodies and institutional heads for the SCs, STs and OBCs. A separate independent state, there will be a separate independent institution called State Election Commission. ठीक है, जो सेंट्रल इलेक्शन कमीशन है वो तो सेंट्रल एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के इलेक्शंस को कंडक्ट कराते हैं. जो स्टेट इलेक्शन कमीशन है, a separate independent institution called State Election Commission will conduct the panchayat and municipal elections. Okay, I hope this point is clear. So there will be a separate body, separate institution that will be called State Election Commission, which will conduct panchayat and municipal elections. Okay, and 1/3 seats. So this was something which was not done until now, until very recently. Now you've seen that recently we have the women reservation bill passed by the current government, but that is yet to be implemented. But this 1/3 seats, the provision of 1/3 seats being reserved for women was done much earlier in the year 1992 only. 1/3 seats shall be reserved or will be reserved for women. Okay, 1/3 seats. It will be both for the members, right? The ward members for election to the seats of ward members, as well as to the election of the sarpanch, or we would say the chairperson. Okay, or the mayor for towns. Okay, for big cities we have mayors. 1/3 seats will be reserved for women. So children, the fifth point under the constitutional amendment, after the constitutional amendment in 1992 to make the local government more powerful and effective, the fifth point is, let me tell you, the state governments are required to share some power and revenue with the local government. Okay, but this nature of sharing is different from state to state. Now let me just quickly revise all the main provisions of the constitutional amendment that took place in the year 1992, and that has given more power and more effectiveness to the local government. The first one being, we know that earlier there were not regular elections. After the 1992 constitutional amendment, elections to the local bodies were held regularly. It became constitutionally mandatory. Okay, so regular elections will now be conducted. And second one, there will be seats reserved in these institutions, local institutions, and the institutional heads, right? There will be seats reserved for the SCs and STs. There will be a separate independent body called State Election Commission to conduct elections to this local government. Okay, the panchayat and the municipal elections. And 1/3 seats of all the positions will be reserved for women, which was a big feat, I would say, something that was not done in the parliament also for a long time. Just recently it has been passed, a bill for women reservation has been passed and it became a law, but it is yet to be implemented. And the state governments, okay, they'll be required to share some power and revenue also with the local government, right? This way decentralization will be more effective, and the constitutional status to the local government and the nature of power sharing, though as I was talking about that the state governments are required to share some power and revenue with the local government, but this nature of sharing is it varies from state to state. Some state governments might share more power, some might so there may be variations. Clear? So children, this was it in this video. I hope the whole point is very clear to you. In my next video we are going to discuss the structure of local governments. Okay, जिसमें हम बात करेंगे पंचायत जो कि रूरल एरियाज का गवर्नमेंट है, और जबकि टाउन एरियाज में आपका म्यूनिसिपैलिटीज है, और बड़े शहरों के लिए जो है म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशंस है. ठीक है, उसके बारे में हम डिस्कस करेंगे अगले वीडियो, दैट विल बी द लास्ट वीडियो, एंड वी विल आल्सो डिस्कस क्रिटिकली द सक्सेस ऑफ municipality elections and panchayat elections in our country. I mean the success of our local government, that we will discuss in the last video. Please like the video, do like it and share it among your friends, children, and so that I'll be making more such interesting videos for you for the benefit of you all. And in the end, I would say thank you so much for watching the video and have a nice time. Bye bye.